Hi, I'm Mark Malusis, New York sports personality. You've heard me on radio and seen me on TV. Now I'm teaching right here at Iona. That's right. I'm an instructor in the new Sports Communication and Media graduate program. All classes are taught by industry professionals like myself in our brand new state-of-the-art digital lab. For more information, go to iona.edu and search sports communication or email graduate coordinator Mike Damergis. Go Gales!
In honor of Black History Month, Iona College welcomes on the line Mr. Willie O'Ree, the first black player in the NHL. And Willie, welcome. Iona welcomes you. And it was just over 60 years ago, on January 18th, 1958, you made your NHL debut for the Boston Bruins.
Yes, I did, sir.
Talk about, putting on the laces and playing in front of the fans and knowing that you're going to be the first black player to play in the NHL, and really what you become known as is the NHL's version of Jackie Robinson.
Yeah, that's true. I had gone to the Bruins training camp on two occasions, 1957 and 1958. And then when I went back to my parent club, the Quebec Aces, the Bruins called the Quebec Aces and said, we want to meet the Bruins in Montreal to play two games against Montreal Canadiens. When I got to Montreal, I was no stranger to the Montreal fans because I had played in the Montreal Forum against the Montreal Junior Canadiens and the Montreal Royals, the professional team there. And I played against the Montreal Canadiens in exhibition games. But stepping on the ice on January the 18th, 1958, I was playing in a regular scheduled NHL game, and it was exciting. I didn't realize that I broke the color barrier until the next day. My parents had came up from my hometown and some of my close friends, and we talked after the game, but the media didn't say too much about the game. We had beat Canadians 3-0, and when I was recalled back up in 1960, the media said, oh, there's Willie O'Ree, he's the Jackie Robinson of hockey. So the name has stuck with me over the years.
You mean it wasn't on Twitter at the time in 1958?
No Twitter, but it was exciting. Before the games, Coach Milt Smith and General Manager Lynn Patrick sat down with me and said, Willie, we brought you up because we think you can add a little something to the club. Just go out and play your usual game, and the Bruin organization is behind you 100%. So that kind of gave me a lift. And, and I was out. The first shift I was a little nervous, but after that I settled down. And, I played a game. I didn't get any goals, no assists, no penalties. But just to beat the Canadiens in Montreal on a Saturday night, it was just absolutely terrific.
Yeah, the Montreal Canadiens, of course, the New York Yankees of hockey, and we're on the line with Willie O'Ree, the first black player in the NHL. Mike Damergis here, the graduate coordinator for sports communication and media, and also with me is Andrew Alers, a Mass Comm senior, born on the Ivory Coast of Africa, grew up in Ontario, and is a big hockey player. And I know Andrew has a couple of questions for you, Mr. O'Ree.
Hey, Willie. It's an honor to speak to you. This is a great moment for me. I just wanted to know how you got into hockey yourself, because back then it wasn't really available to black players as it is now. So how did you get into it?
Well, I was born in a small town called Fredericton, New Brunswick, Canada, on the East Coast, and I started skating at an early age. I had a rink in my backyard. And I started skating at the age of 3, and I started playing organized hockey at the 5, and I just played up to the rank. There was the availability of ice everywhere. Right in my backyard, I used to skate to school. There was ponds, lakes, rivers, creeks, any place there was a patch of ice. Kids could get out and play. And once I started playing, I was obsessed with just playing the sport. When I was 14 years of age, and thanks to my older brother, who was not only my brother and my friend, but he was my mentor. And I told him I wanted to become a professional hockey player. Well, I needed to stay in school. That was one of the things that my parents were very strict on, being the youngest of 13 children. So I kept my grades up and played till I was 17, and then I I left my hometown and went up to Quebec, Canada, to play my first year junior. I was 18 years of age. None of the players back then wore any helmets, no face shields, no cages, nothing to protect your face. And pucks were flying around on the ice, and sticks were flying around in the ice, and so I just played. And then my second year, I had an unfortunate accident. There was a snapshot. I'm from the net. The ricocheted off of a stick and struck me in the right eye, and I lost 7% vision in my right eye. And the doctor told me that I'd never play hockey again.
And 95% blind in your right eye, and you really kept that a secret from the scouts and the teams because you felt if they knew you were blind in one of your eyes, you'd never get a chance to play in the NHL. Is that correct?
I would never get an even chance to play professional. But I never took any eye exams. I worked out in the summer and kept myself in good shape. So when I went away to training camp, I was maybe 1 or 2 pounds away from my playing weight. And again, never stepped in front of an eye machine. And the 21 years I played professional, and even when I went up with the Bruins, I played with one eye.
Now you played 46 games in the NHL, won a couple of scoring titles in the WHL. Before you talk about your NHL career, you had a chance to meet Jackie Robinson a couple of times, and he, of course, Jackie played up in Montreal. Tell us about that encounter with Jackie.
I met Mr. Robinson on 2 occasions. I was playing baseball. I was playing about eight different sports while I was growing up, and I took to baseball and hockey. So in 1949, I was playing baseball, and we won the championship that year. And the reward was our team was going to be taken to New York to see the Empire State Building and Radio Music City Hall and all the sites in New York. And I met Mr. Robinson after a game at Ebbets Field. I shook hands with him down by the dugout, and we talked about baseball. And I mentioned to Mr. Robinson that I also played hockey, and he didn't realize that there were any black kids playing hockey. And I said, yeah, there's a few. So that was 1949. In 1961, I was traded to the Los Angeles Blades, the team in the Western Hockey League out in Los Angeles, California. In 1962, the NAACP had a luncheon in Mr. Robinson's honor. I got an invitation through the hockey club, and we went to the hotel, and Mr. Robinson was standing over in a corner talking to some media people, and the coach and 3 players from the team in Los Angeles that I was playing for were just standing waiting for Mr. Robinson to finish. When he finished, the coach came over and said, Mr. Robinson, I'd like to introduce you to 3 of the hockey players here, especially Willie O'Ree, newly acquired from the Iona Canadians of the Eastern Professional Hockey League. And Mr. Robinson turned and looked me in the eye, and he says, Willie O'Ree, he says, you're the young fellow I met in Ebbets Field. Now, he remembered me from 1949 to 1962, and that made a big impact on me.
Wow, that's simply incredible.
Now there was another black athlete that you got that I wanted to know if you got the chance to meet, Herb Carnegie, who was originally supposed to be in the NHL, but he was unable to play as well.
Herb Carnegie, I met Mr. Carnegie on several occasions. I've been to his home in Toronto. Before he passed away, I know his daughter very well, Bernice, and Herb was playing up in Quebec with the Quebec Aces, the professional team there, a couple of years before I came, and he was definitely NHL caliber. He could have played on any of the teams, the 6 teams back then, but apparently he was turned down by the Rangers and also by Toronto.
Willie, are you surprised that it took 16 years after you broke the color barrier in the NHL for another black player to enter the NHL in 1974?
Yeah, there was quite a separation there. Mike Morrison come up after me, but there were other black players playing, professionally at that time, and I don't know why. There wasn't another black player called up during that time, because I had played with two or three that definitely could have played in the NHL, and Herb definitely could have been there. Art Dorrington, the first black professional hockey player, definitely could have been there. And there were 3 or 4 other players, but I just don't know the reason. I just know when I went up with the Bruins, they called me up because they had watched me play and decided that I could add a little something to their club.
Yeah, give the Bruins credit. They actually, beat the Red Sox for having a black player on their team. And, you would think baseball,
right.
the Negro League, the history of the Negro League, all the great black players, coming up through, in that. And you think the Red Sox took them 12 years after Jackie Robinson to finally incorporate that, and the Bruins actually beat the Red Sox by 1 year. Credit to the Bruins right there.
Yes, I'm very I'm very happy and honored that the Bruins thought enough of me to bring me up and me being the first black player. But right now there are several not only black players but players of color that are in the National Hockey League. And when I played, there were only 6 teams, and then in 1967 it went to 12 teams, and now there's 31 teams with the addition of the Vegas Club. So, but the programs that are in existence today, and the kids that are the black kids and the kids of color that are playing hockey today, you're gonna see more kids of color, being called up and playing in the NHL.
Now, you mentioned black hockey players. I just wanted to go back a couple years back. A lot of people don't know that there was the Colored Hockey League in the early century, start of the 1900s. Sorry. Could you speak on that? Did your parents tell you any stories about that? How they were skating on the ice? They couldn't play with the other players, but they started their own league, and it said that the first slap shot was started there. It said that they were the first goalies to go down on the ice before you couldn't do that. Do you have any recollection of that?
Well, I know a little bit about the colored leagues in Nova Scotia. It started in Halifax, and there were a lot of good hockey players even back then. And you mentioned the slap shot and some of the things that now they use in the National Hockey League. But the teams back then, the teams back then were white teams and colored teams, and the white players, the white teams didn't want to play against them because they were good. They played the game and had a lot of talent on the team, on their team. But it's just too bad that back then that there had to be more scouts out, and so they could have scouted a lot of these players.
In honor of Black History Month, we're on the line with the great Willie O'Ree. And Willie, the racism that Jackie Robinson faced, very well documented. What kind of racism did you face during your playing career?
I faced racism, prejudice, bigotry, and ignorance. And thanks to my older brother, as I mentioned, he was my mentor, and he taught me. He said, "Willie, names will never hurt you unless you let them." And he says, if people can't accept you for the individual that you are because you have the skills and the talent to play in the hockey league, don't worry about it. Just let all those racist slurs and remarks go in one ear and out the other. And basically, that's what I did. I fought a lot when I first started. I fought because I had to, not because I wanted to, because I always wanted to protect myself, and guys would take cheap shots at me. And I dropped the gloves and won fights and lost fights, but I just stayed focused on what I wanted to do. I just wanted to play hockey and represent the hockey club to the best of my ability. And basically, that's what I had in my mind when I went to training camp every year.